y'all. Welcome back to Front Porch Finance, where we talk about the money decisions families don't always want to think about until life has already backed up the truck in the driveway. So today I want to talk about something that may not feel urgent when your children are little, but it can become very important later. Getting life insurance on your children while they're still young and insurable. Now, before anybody gets uncomfortable, this is not a fun topic. Nobody wants to talk about needing life insurance on a child. That is every parent's worst nightmare. But this conversation is not about the unimaginable. It's also about protecting their future options. When my boys were little, we were a one-income family. I stayed home with the children, and my husband worked. Money was tight. And when I say tight, I'm not talking about we were trying to figure out where to put the extra money, bless our hearts. We were stretching dollars and making choices like a lot of young families do. And back then, I remember thinking, I just cannot afford another $10 or $20 or $30 a month for life insurance on my children. At the time, it felt like it was optional. It felt like something I could take care of later. But later came with information I did not have. When my oldest son was 8 years old, he was diagnosed with Asperger's. At that time, I didn't understand how something like autism or Asperger's could affect life insurance and the underwriting. Depending on the carrier, the product, and the situation, certain diagnoses make it much harder and even sometimes impossible to qualify for traditional life insurance. Some things are uninsurable altogether. Had I known that earlier, I would have found a way to come up with that extra $10, $20, or $30 a month. I would have done something to make sure my children had coverage in place while they were still young and insurable. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. Life insurance for children is not about a death benefit. It can be about locking in insurability before life happens, because life does happen. A child can grow up and develop a health condition. They may receive a diagnosis that changes how insurance companies view their application. And here is something else a lot of people do not realize. Even certain legal issues, including a felony conviction, can affect whether a person is able to qualify for life insurance later. So when we talk about getting life insurance on your children, we're not saying it because we expect something bad to happen. We're saying it because we want to protect their ability to have coverage before something happens that takes that option away. Now, there are different ways to do this. At the very least, I believe parents should consider a small policy that would cover burial expenses. I know that's hard to hear, but it matters. And because in our society today, we are seeing more and more young adults pass away way before their time. And when that happens, families are already grieving. They should not have to figure out how to pay for a funeral that they never thought they would have to even plan. Nobody wants a GoFundMe funeral. And nobody wants to be in that position. And families should not have to make financial decisions in the middle of the heartbreak. So if nothing else, please consider getting enough coverage on your child to make sure those final expenses would be handled. But there's another conversation worth having as well. For families who can afford a little more and who want to think long-term, one option to discuss with a licensed agent is a properly structured indexed universal life policy, often called an IUL. Now, an IUL is not right for everybody, and it needs to be designed correctly. It is life insurance first, and it's not a magic money machine, and it's not something you just throw together without understanding how it works. But when it is structured properly, funded consistently, and given decades to grow, an IUL can provide cash value potential that your child can use later in life. That could mean a future flexibility for retirement income, emergencies, opportunities, or simply having a financial foundation that many adults wish they had started earlier. The power here is time. A small payment made consistently over many years can make a huge difference. And when you start when a child is young, you're giving that policy one of the most valuable things it can have, and that's decades. So think about it. Most people do not start thinking seriously about retirement until their 40s, 50s, and sometimes even in their 60s. But what if your child had something started when they were 2, 5, or 10 years old? What if they entered adulthood already having a policy in place with coverage protected and potential cash value building? That's not just buying insurance. That's giving them a head start. And let me say this clearly. I'm not telling you to go out and buy the biggest policy you can find. I'm telling you to have the conversation, sit down with someone who knows what they're doing, and look at your budget. Look at your goals and look at what types of policies make sense. Maybe it's a simple whole life policy. Maybe it's a small burial policy, and maybe it is an IUL designed for long-term potential. The right answer depends on your family, but doing nothing can become the most expensive decision of all. I know this because I lived the regret of not knowing what I did not know. And I thought I could wait. I thought my children could just get their own life insurance one day when they were grown. But sometimes, by the time they're grown, the window has already closed. So parent to parent, grandparent to grandparent, let me say this with all the love in my heart. Please do not wait. Get your children insured while they're young. Protect their insurability and give them options. At the very least, make sure there is enough coverage that your family would not be financially devastated during an already devastating time. This is not fear. I'm trying to give you some wisdom here. And around here, we believe in taking care of our families before the storm comes, not standing in the rain wondering where the umbrella went. If you would like to talk through what this could look like for your children or grandchildren, reach out to benefit specialists. We would be honored to help you look at the options and find something that fits your family, your budget, and your goals. And if your family is also walking through dementia and you want to learn more about dementia resources, I also have a subscriber group on Facebook. You can find it on my Facebook link, where we talk about education, support, and resources for families. I'm Tammy Mosteller, and this is Front Porch Finance, where we make the hard conversations a little easier, one porch talk at a time.